Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I decided that I wanted to share what I shared with the women of my church on Friday night. I am a leader in the women's ministry at my church, and we're all kind of taking turns leading our Bible study, and we each have taken on a woman in the Bible. And I immediately picked Hannah because I knew that she struggled with having a baby, and I didn't know her story super detailed. She's only mentioned in a small portion of the Bible, but I never took the time to really study her. So I enjoyed studying her and using her story in relation to my story, and it was an awesome time sharing with the women, and I wanted to share it with more people. There's a lot of women who didn't get to be there on Friday, so I'm making this video for them. Also for you guys on my YouTube channel to kind of learn a little bit more about me, my story, and my heart. If you're new here, go ahead and click that subscribe button and thumbs up this video, and let's just get started. We played a video before I spoke because we're kind of going off of this guide in a sense. Each woman in the Bible has a video that we play, and the video that we played on my night was of course geared towards Hannah, but it was really good. They talked about the waiting, and she talked about how, you know, we are so focused on getting there, which for in my situation it's getting a baby, but we don't necessarily always focus on the here and what's happening in this moment. And I feel like that's somewhere that we kind of miss the mark when we're going through a trial or going through waiting or some kind of crazy process, to where we don't actually acknowledge the here. And that part really spoke to me, although it didn't really hit on that mostly in my lesson, but I thought it was important to share with you guys, because wherever you are right now with your journey or whatever is going on, it's important to acknowledge the here. So a little bit more on my story is my husband Brandon and I have been trying to have a baby for 7 years now, and these 7 years have been wild. There's been ups and downs, good times, bad times, depression, anxiety, all kinds of stuff that just goes along with, you know, trying to have a baby for so many years, and, you know, learning how to be a married person. It was definitely, it's been a heck of a ride. But most importantly right now, I want to talk about when we hit the 1 year mark, is when depression really started to hit the most. Because in the first year, it was kind of like, well, you know, it'll happen this month, it'll happen this month, it's gonna happen this next month. But then once the 1 year mark hit, I was pretty devastated, because, you know, Googling things is like, well, after a year you need to go seek infertility help and blah blah blah. And I just couldn't handle that pain. It seemed like everyone else around me was having babies, and it was just like, it's honestly, it was one of the most strongest desires in my life, even as a child, is to be a mom. I never really had that wanting a fairy tale wedding or anything of the sort. It was babies. I just wanted to be a mom, and so that was really hard. So in that phase of that 1 year mark, I reached out to a friend, and she's one of those friends that tells you the most honest truth no matter what. And, you know, you love and you hate that, because sometimes you're like, I don't want to hear the truth, just coddle me, just tell me everything's gonna be okay. But she's that friend that I can really trust and know that she's gonna be honest with me, tell me like it is, and help me through all situations. So I called her, and I was venting and crying and, you know, being super emotional with her, and she stopped me and she said, answer me this: if God doesn't give you a baby, will you still love him? And I said yes on the phone, but I knew deep down in my heart, I was like, well, no. why? That was just like, it was really hard to answer that question. Honestly, I mean, you can easily just answer and say, well, yeah, because you know that's the right answer. But did I truly mean that in my heart? I didn't. It was so hard to come to grips with that concept of God maybe not giving me a baby, because I was in that selfish mindset of, well, if God loves me, he'll give me a baby. Like, this is what I want, and if he loves me, he'll give me what I want, right? No, that's not the way it works. But my mind was just so, like, distorted, I guess you can say. And I lived in that mindset for years, which turned into more depression and took a toll on my marriage, took a toll on all my relationships, just took a toll on my whole life. It was at one point, can't talk, it was even hard for me to go to the grocery store without like wanting to go crazy. It hit me really hard. Like family functions, I couldn't be a normal person. Anything. It took such a huge toll on my life that it just took over. So about 3 years ago, 4 years into trying to have a baby, we had kind of this life situation that made everything just shift. It was like, okay, having a baby is seriously not the only thing in my world that I can focus on. I need to focus on my marriage, my family, bettering myself. It's just this huge life situation that kind of turned my whole world upside down, and then in turns made me change who I am. And it was a blessing in disguise. It was a really hard time in my life, probably almost harder than my desire to have a baby and not being able to. It was really hard. And I learned in that moment to kind of turn my pain and my struggles into just to God and reaching out to him and being honest with him and letting him be my source versus anything else. And I remember one day during my worship time at home, because I like to play music really loud and just kind of walk around and pray and worship, whatever I feel need in that moment. But I was praying, and one day I just remember thinking what my friend said to me. If God doesn't give you a baby, will you still love him? And I paused and I was just like, yeah, truly, yeah. And I kind of shocked myself because I was like, well, of course I'll still love him because he's God. Like, why wouldn't I? It's so funny comparing those two moments, because I was like, well, yeah, duh, I guess I'll love him. Like, but if he loves me, he'll give me this baby. But then in this situation, it was like, of course I'll love you no matter what, because I know you're good. And I know that if the answer is no, that you will provide me the strength, give me the courage to fight through, and shift my focus on something else. I don't know, whatever the case may be, of course, I will still love you. And in comparison to Hannah, I didn't even talk about Hannah in this video, because on Friday night we had the video playing. But long story short, she was married to a man who was married to Hannah and another woman. The other woman was having babies, and it just, of course, when you want a baby so bad, and then of course your husband's other wife is having a baby, like, oh my gosh, I would go nuts. Anyway, she cried out to God, and God heard her prayer, and she had a baby. But I relate to that, and I mentioned to the woman on Friday night that I mentioned the 3 years ago when I realized that thing of, yes, I will still love God if he doesn't give me a baby. And I surrendered it all to him. But it's been 3 years. Just because you surrender something to God doesn't mean, well, I surrendered it, so now it's going to happen like tomorrow. That doesn't mean that. It's still his timing. And it took me 4 years to get to that point, to say, yes, God, I surrender this completely to you. I will trust you. I will follow what you want me to do. I will pray about everything that I choose to do, and I will wait for you to answer. And it's been 3 years of that mindset, and I still don't have a baby. But guess what? I know that no matter what happens, God is going to answer my prayer. He's promised me a baby. I know in my heart that this is going to happen for us. And I've prayed, God, if this isn't your will for me, please just take this desire from my heart. At least a little bit, so I know to work on it. I don't know if that makes sense, but at least a little glimpse of, okay, if this isn't for us, then I will learn to adjust, But I know that He's promised us a baby, and He's providing the way and opening doors for so many different things for our infertility treatments. It's amazing how God created these doctors who know what they're doing, and the knowledge that they have and the science that they have. I definitely firmly believe that science is a gift from God, and this is part of our journey and our life, and it's my duty to share it with people and help people go through what they're going through with infertility, or maybe even just another situation of waiting, whatever you're waiting for and praying so desperately for. Will you still love God if He doesn't give that to you? I asked that to the ladies on Friday night. I didn't ask them to answer me publicly, but I told them to think about it. And if their answer is no, then to truly seek God and search their own heart and see where they stand. It was a really good night. I enjoyed it. I was super nervous to share my story, not in front of a camera. I even mentioned that to them. I'm like, I'm just used to either singing on stage on Sunday mornings or talking in front of a camera. I'm not used to people just staring straight at me while I'm talking, because in front of the camera, it's super easy. But it was fun. It was a huge deal for me to do that, and I'm so excited that I did. I'm gonna share the questions that I asked them on my handout. I did ask them the first one that I already told you. The second one is, what are some things we can do in the waiting to keep pushing forward and maybe inspiring others? And I used myself as an example to kind of break the ice for that question, was that I started this YouTube channel. I started this channel because there wasn't a lot out there at the time, 7 years ago. These videos, I feel like, were just starting to be a thing. And so I wanted to be part of that, and I get to now inspire other people who are going through infertility, and it's fun. So that was a good question, so think about that for yourself. Number 3, Hannah brought her honest emotions to God, and God heard her cries. Hannah reminds us that God doesn't expect us to hold it all together and be strong all the time. Why do you think we often try to act like we have it all together? As women, I think we feel like we have to have it all together because we have to. I mean, it's just the way life is these days too, where with social media, it's like you only show the good things, which I show a lot of things, but you only show like, oh my gosh, look at my husband brought me flowers, or we're going to the beach, not I'm giving myself injections today, like the real life stuff. I feel like we don't see enough. I'm not saying to throw out your dirty laundry on social media, because that's not what I want to see. But I feel like it's important to share your struggles with light. And I feel like we're not given that permission, in a sense, to be real, because we're supposed to be perfect and have it all together. So just think about those questions, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is what I did on Friday night, sharing with our women at the church. And if you are one of those who didn't get to come on Friday night, thank you for watching this video. This is my normal element, is videos, not talking in front of people in real life. And if you are a subscriber of mine, thank you for joining in on this video. This was fun. I love learning about new things and just learning how to compare it to my life. If you want to read Hannah's story, she is in 1 Samuel. So go ahead and just look her up and learn about her and read about her and study something else, you know, that has to do with infertility. There's tons of women in the Bible who struggled to have babies, believe it or not. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Bye.